A Hampton woman dedicated nearly 2 decades of her life to fighting fires.
But she tells us one of the biggest battles she faced was rising through the ranks. 10 on your side's Deanna LeBlanc is here now with more on how she fought back, but says changes still need to be made.
Right, I spoke with Rochelle Wallace. She says she loved being a firefighter, even though in many ways she was a woman in a man's world. But when she got passed over more than once for a job she felt she was qualified for, she decided to speak up, and she thinks that began the end of her career.
I started in Hampton January 6, 1997.
You remember the date?
I remember the date, yes.
Why?
Because I was so excited.
Rochelle Wallace smiles, remembering the good times of her fire career.
I mean, I was a firefighter. That's not something that you see girls doing at that time.
For nearly 20 years, she rose through the ranks. But in 2013, that rising stopped short at captain.
3 people were interviewed for a position that called for a particular certification. Only one of those, the white male, had that certification. I had the certification as well, but I wasn't interviewed.
She felt she was being held back because she was a woman and a minority.
It was a double standard, and you know, just because you're a female, you just can't do it. That mindset is already in the heads of some of those. They're not expecting you to be able to accomplish that. And I had to prove myself time and time again.
For her, adding rank was not a fair fight. She filed a federal equal employment opportunity complaint. And the next time there was an opening for captain, she says she got it.
It just took away everything I had worked for. It made it seem like you're giving it to me just to shut me up, rather than on the work that I've done and my performance.
Still wanting the department held accountable, Wallace filed a discrimination suit against the city. That's when she says things got worse. She says she got moved from station to station, eventually went out on leave due to the stress. And while on leave, Wallace says she was confronted with this, a mandatory counseling form that cited abusive or offensive language, poor judgment, absenteeism, and inappropriate behavior. The division claims it was made aware of her leadership issues on May 4th. For Wallace, that didn't make any sense because just 4 days before that, on April 30th, she got a 4 on her performance review.
On the fire ground, was a very sound officer, made great decisions, sound decisions.
This is Wallace's former supervisor, retired Battalion Chief Nick Wooten. We showed him Wallace's reviews from 2013, 14, and 15. Each year, she had a 4 out of 5.
4 is above average. There's 3, 4, 5. As long as you get somewhere in there, you have a great performance.
The city of Hampton and the fire division declined to comment on the lawsuit. Wallace still does not have answers as to why suddenly, after years of strong reviews, her leadership was called into question.
And at that point, I knew, I mean, it was no win. There was no way for me to stay in there because they were after me is how I felt.
Wallace was suspended for refusing to sign that counseling paperwork. In 2015, she retired, saying the stress was too much. She's in the process of settling with the city. She can't discuss the details, but wanted to speak up, hoping her story could help another woman.
Honestly, it's not the money. It's the change. If they're still not trying to make a change, then I can't just walk away. I can't.
And Rochelle tells me she kept fighting through all of that because she's a single mother with a teenage daughter, and she wanted her daughter to learn that it's okay to speak up. I'm Deanna LeBlanc, 10 on your side.